special educational needs. But could the changes mean many miss out? We'll look at where the money would be spent and get reaction to the news that only the pupils with the most complex needs could qualify for care plans in future.
When I look at my child, I feel like his needs are crucial. His needs matter as well, because left unmet, they're only going to get worse.
Also this lunchtime, the Australian Prime Minister writes to Sir Keir Starmer to say he backs plans to remove Andrew Mountbatten Windsor from the line of succession. The BBC apologises for not editing out a racial slur which was shouted during the BAFTAs by a guest with Tourette's. And a warm welcome home from the Winter Olympics for Team GB's most successful squad.
This is the ITV Lunchtime News with Nina Hossain.
Good afternoon. Education care plans will be reserved for only the children with the most complex needs. The plans, known as EHCPs, are legal documents which set out the level of help that children with special educational needs and disabilities are entitled to. The changes are part of a raft of reforms to the SEND system in England, announced by the Education Secretary today. Bridget Phillipson vowed to take children with special educational needs from sidelined and excluded to seen, heard and included. But parents warn that changing an already complex system could leave children without the support they need. Carrie Davis has the details.
Schools and parents have long called for changes to the system for children with special educational needs.
It's too complicated for parents. It feels like a battle for parents, for students, for us, for the specialists out there as well.
Now a major overhaul is coming, with proposals that mean hundreds of thousands fewer children will have education, health and care plans, legal documents which set out the support they're entitled to.
And forget the misinformation you might have heard. EHCPs for children with the most complex needs will stay, guided by nationally defined and evidence-based specialist provision packages.
The plans are part of the government's Schools White Paper, backed by £4 billion of funding. It's designed to make schools more inclusive for SEND children. It includes £1.6 billion going to early years schools and colleges. Another £1.8 billion will go towards providing specialist support, including SEND teachers and speech and language therapists. The remaining will support family hubs and local authorities to make improvements. The government proposals presented to education leaders this morning will also mean EHCPs are reviewed at the end of every school stage. Millions will get alternative support packages instead. But it's a worry for parents who feel their children are already missing out.
When I look at my child, I feel like his needs are crucial. His needs matter as well, because left unmet, they're only going to get worse, and it's going to reach a point where it does become more complex. So why not give him the support at this point?
According to the Department for Education, there'll be no changes to current support before September 2030. But with SEND costs spiralling, reform is needed. Carrie Davis, ITV News.
I'm joined now by Katie Ghosh, the Vice Chair of the Disabled Children's Partnership. Thank you for coming in. What is your initial reaction to these proposals that have just been announced?
We really welcome the government's vision that disabled children and their families should get the support they need without having to fight for it, which is the current experience. And for the hundreds and thousands of children and families that we work with, they just want the ordinary things like a nursery school or college place where they can learn, be happy, make friends, and know that their child's going to get the flexible, tailored help that they need.
Is there not a potential, though, that fight continues now? Are you talking about parents that have had to go to tribunal to get the plans that we're talking about? But it has been announced that these plans will, in future, only apply. The only children that will qualify will be those with the most complex needs. So there might be a lot of parents watching this announcement thinking, oh my goodness, the fight begins again.
Absolutely, and I'm really glad you've raised that. We're very pleased to see that lots more children are going to have the legal right to a school support plan, so they're going to get support in earlier, but parents are going to be worried about the education, health and care plans. That's when all the professionals get together and agree what support there should be. The government seems to be saying those might in future be just for the children with the most complex needs. What does complex needs mean? Children's needs fluctuate.
What does
in
complex
childhood. Well,
mean?
I was thinking about a young man that we know, a 12-year-old with autism and ADHD, very academically able, but they need a lot of input from specialists to be able to stay in school and do well. Would that young man be classified as complex? And what we need to see from the government now is that if the school support plan and the early support isn't right and doesn't work, that any child still has the right to the education, health and care plan, because it's about every child being able to do really well at school.
And when we're talking about support for schools and changing the support and these teams of experts that can come in and advise teachers and parents and children themselves, have we got enough of those experts, whether you're talking about an educational psychologist or a speech therapist or anybody that can help somebody on the autistic with autism? Have we got enough of those people already? How are we going to suddenly find those people?
We don't have enough of them, but it is very good to see new investment from the government and a recognition that people like physiotherapists to work with a child with cerebral palsy and their movement and independence are an essential part of the plan. So we can see there is new money going in, but you are absolutely right to raise the workforce point, and we're going to need to see a really detailed workforce plan to match the money so that parents can feel confident that the professionals are going to be there.
And very briefly, what about the parents who really don't want their child in a mainstream setting? They want them in a school that can really cater for their needs. Is there anything in the changes in the reforms that means that their needs will be met?
There's lots of detail to look at. Special schools are a really important part of the picture. They can be the right place for some children, but it's also great to see that the local mainstream school is a big part of the government's vision. Many more disabled children will be there in future.
Okay, lots of detail to examine. Katie Ghosh, thank you very much for your initial thoughts on the proposed changes. Thank you. The Prime Minister of Australia has said that he would back any UK government plan to remove Andrew Mountbatten Windsor from the line of succession to the throne. In a letter to Sir Keir Starmer, Anthony Albanese wrote that the allegations against Andrew are grave and Australians take them seriously. Our political correspondent, Louisa James, is at Westminster this lunchtime. Louisa, how likely is it that the government will remove Andrew?
Well, the government's already said it is considering introducing legislation to do so. He is still 8th in line to the throne, despite being stripped of his titles, and it would take an act of parliament to remove him, as well as the support from all 14 nations where the king is head of state. And yes, only one of those has so far commented. The Prime Minister of Australia has written to Keir Starmer saying he would support such a proposal. These are grave allegations. He says Australians take them seriously. While here, the leader of the opposition, the Conservatives, Kemi Badenoch, has told Good Morning Britain she too would back it, although she argued it was a distraction.
Yes, we could strip Andrew Mountbatten of his succession. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
So you would support it?
But let's be honest. He's 8th in line. There's 7 people, including some very little children. This is not something that's going to make a difference in terms of how we are governed, how we are run. What is the Prime Minister doing? Why did he appoint Mandelson? There are many more serious questions to be asked about that.
Well, and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, Downing Street, has said this lunchtime they are looking at whether any further steps are required and not ruling anything out. But they have said they won't do anything until the police investigation has concluded. He was released under investigation last week, but searches have been continuing of his former home.
And Louisa, Prince William gave an insight into his state of mind last night.
Yeah, we've seen a number of royals, haven't we, recently doing their best to show that they are getting on with the job and avoiding questions about what has been going on. And it appeared last night that Prince William actually brought it up himself, or at least that is how it is being interpreted. You're not going to see him actually in this clip. He is just out of shot, but you can hear him being asked whether he has watched the film Hamnet.
You need to be in a quiet state. You need a calm state so that I'm not. I'll save it for
Well, not in a calm state, maybe something of an understatement to the mood in royal households at the moment, but I should say that Buckingham Palace hasn't publicly commented since the King's statement on Andrew's arrest and hasn't commented on plans to remove him from the line of succession.
Louisa James, thank you. Firefighters in Devon have been battling a large fire which has destroyed a school. People have been urged to stay away from the Promise School in Oakhampton, which teaches children with special educational needs, with more than 80 pupils left unable to attend lessons. And police are investigating online abuse directed at Wolves striker Tolu Arukodare and Sunderland midfielder Romain Mundell, who were targeted by online abusers. On Sunday, the UK Football Policing Unit warned anyone who believes they can hide behind their keyboards should think again. The families of the Nottingham attack victims have said an inquiry into their death of their loved ones represents a critical turning point in our pursuit of truth and justice. Valdo Calacane, who had been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, killed University of Nottingham students Barnaby Webber and Grace O'Malley Kumar, both 19, and 65-year-old caretaker Ian Coates in June 2023. The public inquiry began in central London this morning. Ben Chapman is there. Ben, this is a big day for the victims' families.
That's right. The chair of this inquiry described it this morning as a momentous day for the victims' families, and having followed every step of their more than 2-year fight for answers on behalf of their loved ones, I know how important it is to them that hearings have finally got underway. School caretaker Ian Coates and university students Barnaby Webber and Grace O'Malley Kumar were killed, and 3 other people were seriously injured when Valdo Calacane first went on a stabbing spree, then drove a van at pedestrians early that June morning in Nottingham. Since then, there have been highly critical reports of how the NHS managed his paranoid schizophrenia, serious concerns from the victims' families about the police's handling of his case. But this public inquiry will dig much, much deeper into all the events surrounding those attacks, the decisions that various agencies made, how they shared information, and crucially for the families, holding individuals to account for their actions. In short, could these attacks have been prevented? Here's what the families told us on their way in this morning.
My last little ounce of hope is going into this inquiry that we're going to get truth, proper real answers, accountability, and most importantly, some changes. There has to be systematic changes.
Today is not simply the start of an inquiry, it's a test of whether this country is prepared to confront failure and fix it.
There are many, many unanswered questions, and that is why we are here today. And we are hoping that today starts the process of giving us answers to the many unanswered questions that we have as families.
Well, the inquiry chair, the retired senior judge Deborah Taylor, said this morning that the inquiry would take a broader look at issues like how people with serious mental illness are managed. It will make recommendations to try and make what she called necessary change. The hearings are expected to last 3 months.
Ben Chapman, thank you. The BBC has apologised for not editing out a racial slur during the BAFTA Film Awards last night. It was shouted during the ceremony by a member of the audience who had Tourette's syndrome as actors Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan presented an award. Our entertainment reporter Rishi Davda is here. What happened and what did the BBC say?
Well, the incident in question happened very early during the broadcast. In fact, during the first award, the comment was made by John Davidson, who has Tourette's. The movie I Swear, which was nominated on the night, is about his life, the story of a young man growing up with the condition in Scotland. But while Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo were presenting, he had what's known as a tic, and yelled a racial slur. But people have asked why the BBC didn't edit the slur out of the programme and why that programme was then directly uploaded to the iPlayer. The show is not live. It operates on a delay of about 2 hours, so they would have had a chance to do so. In fact, they do edit this show to save time overall. In a statement this morning, the BBC said, some viewers may have heard strong and offensive language during the BAFTA Film Awards. This arose from involuntary verbal tics associated with Tourette's syndrome. And as explained during the ceremony, it was not intentional. We apologise that this was not edited out prior to broadcast, and it will now be removed from the version on BBC iPlayer. The crowd had been made aware of John's condition, and the show's host, Alan Cumming, did apologise twice for any offence caused by language that was heard. John Davidson had audible tics on multiple occasions. We spoke to the charity Tourette's Action. They said that after all the great work done by the film to raise awareness, it's a shame that this is the focus.
The film's raised this awareness, but then the focus this morning has all been on John and what he said, and whilst the words that he says are upsetting for people hearing those words, John cannot help them. They are involuntary and they're not what he's thinking. And it was even sadder for me to hear that John left halfway through the ceremony, and that should have been the most special moment of his life.
John did leave the ceremony off his own accord after the issues the BBC had with the Glastonbury broadcast last year and things that were said on stage. They now face further scrutiny for allowing this racial slur to air.
Rishi Davda, thank you very much. Thank you. After the Women's Euros last year, there was one player on everyone's mind, Michelle Anjimang. Now looking ahead to the 2027 World Cup, the Lioness is certain the team's success will continue. However, after tearing her ACL 4 months ago, the last few months hasn't come without its challenges. But her talent isn't just bound to the pitch, as our sports editor Steve Scott reports.
We've known for a while that she has magic in her feet. Michelle Adjumang's fingers are equally gifted too.
You took a piano of sorts to the Euros. Did that help you get through that tournament and the pressure of that tournament?
Yeah, definitely. I think we had so much time after training sessions, so if I was bored I'd keep playing, and even when I didn't have that much time I'd still play because it's right next to my bed, so it was nice to calm down, settle and play the piano and just relax a bit.
At last summer's Euros, as a substitute, she saved England's tournament twice. Adjumang, the most dramatic, an equaliser against Italy with less than a minute left in the semi-final.
I had quite a bit to do, but I'm just happy that it went in the back of the net, and it was nice to see, the stadium absolutely buzzing.
But Adjumang's rapid rise was cruelly interrupted 4 months ago by the curse of the women's game. A ruptured ACL. It ended her season.
How tough have you found the last few months?
Every sort of rehab is going to be difficult. No one said it was going to be easy, so I'm getting through it well, and I've got a lot of support around me.
Her immediate focus is about getting back to playing again. Beyond that, of course, there's a World Cup.
What would that mean to make that World Cup squad?
There's one thing playing in the Euros, but then going on the global scale, playing in front of millions of fans, in Brazil will be an incredible experience.
And no reason why the Lionesses shouldn't win it.
Absolutely, we can win it. There's no doubt about that.
Endless rehab and her music passion aside, Adjumang is also studying for a business management degree. It seems there is very little she can't turn her hand to. But given modesty runs through her bones, she's the last person who will ever tell you that. Steve Scott, ITV News.
And finally this lunchtime, Team GB's Winter Olympians received a hero's welcome as they landed back on home soil today. It was the best gold medal performance of the Games, with the team taking home 5 medals in total, 3 of which were golds. Rosie Dowsing went to meet them.
It's been a hero's welcome here at Gatwick Airport as the Winter Olympians Team GB touched down on home soil. A little weary-eyed after last night's Milan Cortina closing ceremony, but with big smiles on their faces, hugely proud of what they've achieved. 5 medals, 3 of them golds, the first gold for Team GB on snow ever, and the Olympians themselves told us it's not quite sunk in yet.
It's actually crazy to think that me and Charlotte got the first ever gold medal on snow in 102 years, and kind of imagining that is kind of a historical thing, and it's still a crazy thing to see.
Honestly, the support is incredible. Everyone's showing up for us, like a homecoming. I've never experienced anything like this before. And then all the school children here and like asking for autographs and just getting to connect with them, because, you know, they're the future. So that's pretty incredible too.
Well, there have been friends, family and fans here too to welcome Team GB home. Even pupils from the local primary school, no doubt inspired by what they've seen over the last few weeks.
Well, we're certainly feeling incredibly proud. It's been a really emotional week and a bit.
To see Hugh grow up from a tiny tot on his snowboard and board with our children as well is just fantastic. He is superb, as is Charlotte Banks, and they really did the family proud, and most importantly, they did Great Britain proud.
Does watching the Winter Olympics make you feel inspired to start sport?
Yes, to be honest. I'm already starting thinking ice hockey. And so I'm really inspired by skeleton and big air. That Western was really inspiring because he got 2 gold medals. So I really liked the skeleton as well. I liked the ice skating. It was really cool how they did all the moves.
Well, of course, it's not just the Team GB medalists that should be proud. Many Brits in the Winter Games got 4th place or wowed audiences with their talent, hopefully inspiring many more people to take up their sport. The next Winter Olympic Games will be closer even still to the UK in the French Alps as Team GB hopes to make more record-breaking moments in 2030.
Rosie Dowsing reporting there from Gatwick Airport. Mary is here with the evening news at 6:30. From everyone on the Lunchtime team, have a lovely afternoon. Bye for now.